Now for a movie rant break, One Up presents a movie rant break. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the movie rant break. Got a very special episode today with a returning guest. We have Anonymous returning on the show.
I'm not in the house, though.
I
am in the apartment. Ooh, yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Really? We're going to start swearing right off the fucking bat. Oh, okay.
All right. Anyways, this douchebag's here.
Oh.
And we will be continuing a series of reviews that we had already started. Just to get you caught up, we're reading the books and watching through all the films of Harry Potter. And I'm reading the illustrated versions this time around, and he's been reading the originals, the first three. And he didn't read the first two, the first reviews. He got caught up. But
because I have a life. I have things to do.
This motherfucker's lying again.
Oh, I do.
No credibility.
Yeah.
So anyways, we're reviewing the third one this time. If you haven't seen the other reviews, we did Sorcerer's Stone and Chambers of Secrets already. Mm-hmm. They turned out okay. They're okay. We're gonna try.
Not because of me. I did my part.
The first one was okay. Second one, you didn't bring your A game. Let it be known. People seen it. They know what's up. So yeah, Azkaban is today, and let me go through who were associated with this film.
Daniel Radcliffe is the lead in there.
Shut the fuck up. Directed by Alfonso Cuarón, screenplay by Steve Kloves. Obviously, it was based off J.K. Rowling's novel Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. It was produced by David Heyman, Chris Columbus, Mark Radcliffe.
Is that Daniel's father?
I believe so.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, his father's the one. He was in filmmaking in some regard, and he's the one that kind of pitched getting Daniel involved originally.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have a feeling mistake.
Because when I saw the movie last, I saw the credits, and I saw the Radcliffe name, and I was wondering to myself, the dogs didn't answer. I asked them, but they didn't answer, so I have no idea.
You're foolish. Starring Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson, Robbie Coltrane, Michael Gambon, Richard Griffiths, Gary Oldman, Alan Rickman, Fiona Shaw, Maggie Smith, Timothy Spall, David Thewlis, Emma Thompson, and Julie Walters, among others. Cinematography, Michael Saracen, edited by Steven Weisberg, music by John Williams. Warner Brothers put this out. The premiere was at Radio City Music Hall, May 23rd. Released in the United Kingdom, May 31st, 2004. And in the U.S., it was June 4th, 2004, with a runtime of 142 minutes, budget of $130 million, box office $804 million.
Wow.
Brief breakdown. Potter goes to his third year of school at Hogwarts. I'm just going to leave it at that. You already know what the fuck going on with that. So before we get into the review of this film, there was something to add from last episode that I wanted to touch on. One to be in the book towards the end of Chamber of Secrets when he fights the basilisk. I thought it was a little anticlimactic. The fight was very brief text-wise, and I get why. There was like the hat got thrown to him differently, and it made me understand why they added that sequence to be longer. Mm-hmm. The chase scene was all added, and just
in the book it was a lot shorter.
Yeah,
but
you wait the whole book for it, and then you're like, that one like wraps up the ending kind of quick.
Yeah, but in the book there was more going on. I mean, there's more detail about the cave and finding the Chamber of Secrets, finding the entrance to the Chamber of Secrets. There was more leading up to that.
Yeah. So. And with adding sequences to the end of the film to make it more interesting, they did that in Azkaban as well. I don't know if you remember reading in this one when towards the end when they've time turned back with Hermione and Potter and they have Buckbeak and they flee Hagrid's hut. They don't. Hermione doesn't do the werewolf call to get the attention of Lupin in werewolf form, and there's no chase scene naturally because of that, and Buckbeak doesn't interact with the werewolf at all, which I think that all being added was cool. It like made you like Buckbeak more.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had to do something with it because, like you said, I mean, if all goes well, you'll save 2 innocent lives. So they had to have him in there doing something. I don't remember that in the book. Him saying that.
No, he says it.
Does he?
Yep, he does say that. And then he says, 3 turns will do it.
Yes.
There was actually a couple lines that they used that were kind of iconic that they added, like Lupin when they're in the Shrieking Shack about Hermione being the smartest wizard of her era.
Her age.
And then the line where it was they scened it differently in the movie, but when Snape encounters Potter in the middle of the night, and he talks about Potter's father strutting.
Yeah.
And Potter's like, my father didn't strut, and neither do I. That was in the movie, and it's in the book.
Yeah.
And it's actually a funny ass line. Then the incompetence of teachers in Hogwarts not being able to watch over students and keep them safe in the first 2 movies, and just kind of the whole series, like they fail miserably. There's, they say,
well, dude, it's magic.
I know, it's magic. Well, I'm just saying, it is. A friend was asking how terrible, like, why are they so terrible at keeping Hogwarts safe? And it's kind of a running joke of how ridiculous Hogwarts can be and how incapable teachers seem to be.
I know. How could they not find the fucking snake?
Yeah, like that was.
Come on. They searched the castle and they couldn't find it.
Yeah.
What'd they search it with? Fucking the toothpick? No.
And in my rebuttal to that is, I think you can attribute this. This is my take on it. Is Dumbledore puts these teachers at ease and just tells them to not worry about the dangers, and they have so much respect for him, they kind of stay idle in most cases because Dumbledore
is the greatest wizard of all time.
Yeah, and they just feel everything is taken care of when it's technically not, and Potter ends up having to fix a lot of the issues. And I think, that being said, Dumbledore is constantly making bad choices, even though he's trying to make the right ones. And
yeah, but is he making bad choices because he knows what the future is going to bring?
That's,
See, that's the thing. He knows all these things. Like he knew, about the time turner and going back. And remember when they came out of the hut in the movie, how he was pointing to the mountains, keeping them facing away from.
Yeah, he knew what was going on.
Yeah. So, but that was the first time around.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
but he knew what was going on, and he knew.
So that's what does he do that because he knows all this stuff. He makes bad choices because he knows how it's going to turn out. See, it's one of those catch-22s.
Yeah, it's that's why I think Dumbledore's so fascinating as a character. I love him. And in the book, Ron was not even part of that when they did the time turner thing. Well, he wasn't a part of the time turner.
Well, no, he was in the hospital. He was awake. In the book, he was not there.
In the hospital bed?
Yeah.
He was in the room.
He was not awake.
Yeah, he might not have contributed.
Yeah, he was not awake. He was still, yeah.
Yeah. One plot hole of the second one, I wonder if this attributes to the book series being so long and maybe J.K. Rowling not knowing exactly where shit was going to end up and how things were going to work out. But hear me out. With the basilisk venom can kill Horcruxes, right? Mm-hmm. How come when Harry got bit by it, it didn't destroy Harry because he's a Horcrux? Plot hole.
He was dying. Remember, then he got the tears of the Phoenix to heal him.
But it doesn't. It destroys the Horcruxes on contact.
Stabbing it, yes, and the ink started coming out. So he was human, but he was dying.
Okay, fair enough.
And what do you mean J.K. didn't have that part figured out? Are you fucking foolish?
Okay.
Come on.
This is a listener question. Why would they use Dementors to guard the school? Why are they using soul-sucking entities to guard a school? And
because they were looking for Sirius Black. They were the guards at the prison. What are they supposed to use? Girl Scouts? Auras are finding dark wizards.
Okay, so that's
but he escaped from Azkaban, so they were anxious to get him back. That's why they were using Dementors.
And in fairness, the Ministry is in control of them, so that's maybe what they thought was the best course of action. But and another listener said they felt all the characters are too feminine. Do you find the characters to be feminine?
Which characters?
Just like not alphas, so to speak. I don't particularly think so because like one thing that I think some people take out of context sometimes is like although the film started a certain way, they're really young characters, and I think people put too much scrutiny on the fact that they're so young. They're like they're not that cool. Like I've never seen a 13 or 14. Like these are the coolest 13, 14-year-olds or 12-year-olds I've ever seen. So like to put that much like hate their way and be like they're not that cool. Like
I don't know. I thought they were fine. They're not the alpha. Well, yeah, they're still growing up. They're still kids. Harry Potter was still the alpha of the group, taking the lead, but he always relied on the other two as well. So maybe he was not the alpha.
Yeah, and I think with Potter in general, he is just, and this is why I think Potter's such an awesome character.
That's why. Because it all comes down to friendship and how they rely on each other. It's not like Harry Potter did it all by himself. He needed Hermione and he needed Ronald to get to what they were doing. I mean, I hate to go.
Let me hear that back. Yeah, I got a time trainer, motherfuckers. It's a time trainer. What's good? Time trainer around the neck. That's why I'm so wise.
Yeah, let's go with that one.
But one thing I noticed reading the book and watching the film, Hermione is kind of the OG in this film, like and book. She is so pivotal and is like doing so much. And
like he said, she was the most clever witch of her age. And you think about it, in every movie, she has had a pivotal point where she has done something to encourage the correct outcome.
And I will say there's things in the later films that I will be bringing up where, specifically in Deathly Hallows, where they take Potter's like moment away in the film. Hermione ends up doing it. Like I don't even want to talk about it because I want to bring it up.
Yeah, Jesus, well, why are you jumping ahead?
But there's a lot of things that they have her doing in the movies that she's not doing in the books, and things she's doing in the books and not in the movies. But
remember, in the books, she's ugly. She ugly. Remember, in what book 4 or 5, she was hit with some spell that made her teeth really look, because she had buck teeth anyway to begin with in the book. Mm-hmm. And they made them really long. She got hit with a spell and her teeth got really long. And she can't perform the spell on herself to change her appearance. So she went to Madame Pomfrey, who says, okay, well, let me know when the correct length of your teeth is. And she started putting them back. She let them go all the way back till they were normal.
She was trying to get hot. That had to be like in Goblet or something. Because that's when she'd be looking.
It's either 4 or 5. I'm not sure which one.
So.
Oh, and Snape was cruel to her in the book. When they said, look what they've done to her. Look at her teeth. And he goes, I don't see any difference.
Yeah, Snape's kind of a G.
He dead.
He dead. Rest in peace, Alan Rickman. Don't you think it was an unrealistic thing to give a time turner to a third year just to study more and learn more?
Yeah, but...
Like, why not give it to her in the 6th year? And I know in the book it says that Dumbledore really advocated for her, and it was a lot of letters back and
McGonagall.
forth. Or McGonagall,
yes.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Bless you. Interrupting the show.
There. Well, she wanted to take all those classes.
I know, but like, why not wait till she's older to do it?
Because at that point, like the 3rd year is when you start figure out which way you're going to go with your career.
I mean, they do the owls of the 5th year.
Yeah.
Which is like sophomores.
Yeah, but they wanted to know, she wanted to know all that stuff, and she was a good student. So obviously they trusted her with it.
Yeah. And then, but then like she did exactly what they were afraid of. It's like affect the time continuum of what the fuck's going on.
Well, it's not, that was the purpose, but she knew she couldn't be seen. You cannot see yourself. Oh, like Alice in Wonderland.
True.
Remember?
True.
Yeah. Because everything will stop.
Yeah, because couldn't you just avoid death altogether if you kept using the time turner? Like, how many versions and times can you turn back before you start fucking up the world?
Yeah, but you go back and you see yourself there. That's the problem. It's not like you're going back and you're taking your place again. Yeah. You're going back and yourself is there. So you can't really
cross paths with it.
Yeah, you can't affect the outcome.
Because that was one thing that the book talks about, this is the first book that expands on a lot of things. The movies pretty much capture what's in the first two books, essentially.
Yeah.
A couple little things. But this book had a lot of more information explaining what the fuck was going on, and I'm going to get more into that. And
They left out a lot of stuff, too, obviously.
Yeah. One of the things was talking about how the time turners worked and, like, bad things happen. They mentioned bad things happen to wizards that overuse it and shit. And in the book, it talks about, like, people have killed their future or past selves and shit. And I wonder why they didn't like use a time turn to go back and kill Tom Riddle. You know, like I feel like that should have been a thing that's talked about. It's like, yo, fuck him.
Well, why would they? How could they? You can't change it.
Yeah, the time turner appears that like I don't know if it's like when certain time is lapsed, it doesn't work the same because it appears that that's might be how it works out.
Because if you change it, it's going to change something else in the future. So if they went and they killed Tom Riddle right off the bat, something else would have happened.
Yeah, it's maybe unpredictable. Or it's like
I mean, they went back and they rescued Buckbeat and Sirius Black.
That was a 3-hour window,
But they didn't. It's not like they killed him and changed it. They survived.
Yeah, and like I said, I feel like the length of time has something to do with it. Where like to turn it back weeks or months or years.
It could be, yeah, because during classes she was only turning it back an hour at a time or 2 hours, whatever it was for the classes. So,
so why didn't the Weasley brothers ever, being the fact that they had the Marauders map, see Peter Pettigrew on the map with Ron and not say anything? Because if they had the Marauders map, Peter Pettigrew would have shown up.
Maybe they didn't know who Peter Pettigrew was at the time.
So they just thought Ron was getting blowjobs by like a roomie. like it's like in bed with him. Like,
well, probably walking next to each other. But again, they're really, I mean, the way they interact with Ron, I'm sure they never really thought about it. They never even looked at it and see him there.
I mean, you could say it's possible that they didn't notice it. But they've had it for a couple years.
Right.
So, like, and at one point, the rat
they used
was
it to get in and out, not to go spy where their brother was.
But before, Pettigrew was with them. That was their pet rat. Or was it Percy's?
It was Percy's.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
But it's crazy, like, all the moments, like, where you can see in this film / book, like, if Crookshanks actually ate Scabbers, a.k.a. Peter Pettigrew, Voldemort would have never came back, and Wormtail would be R.I.P. Or if they, just killed Peter Pettigrew in general, like in the shack, he would have never came back.
Yeah, well, something else would have come back. You never know.
Yeah. So on the tip with Peter Pettigrew, if the Weasley brothers saw that Pettigrew was with Ron, and I mean he was with Ron, like is Pettigrew a petty or something? I mean he's just sleeping in bed with him. It just seems a little extra. Like Pettigrew, he looked a little sus anyways.
Where the fuck are you going with this? Jesus.
I said where I was going with it. Like,
good Lord. Really got to tarnish the whole movie franchise.
It's that character. That character's just a weirdo. He's a little rat. Like,
it's because he was an animagus.
Yeah.
Do they get to pick what they choose to turn into?
Well, the way that they were describing at the end in the Shrieking Shack, the whole reason they became unregistered animaguses was to accompany Lupin during his transformations in the Shrieking Shack, and that's why the Whomping Willow was planted there, so that Lupin could escape during the full moons, and then to accompany him and make him not feel so lonely. Sirius Black and Potter's dad, what's his first name?
What's whose name?
Potter's dad's name?
Harry.
No, his dad.
Harry Sr. James,
yeah.
Oh my
so
Lord.
They learned how to become animaguses to do that, and then showed Wormtail how to do it, and he could only conjure up the fucking rat, and then he was the one that would always put the Whomping Willow to rest with pressing some button or whatever.
One of the knots
Yeah.
on the roots, which they didn't even allude to during the film.
No, there's a point in the film where like Lupin, you see cast a spell where it's I forget the spell he cast, but
Immobulus.
that might be actually
It is it. Don't
Okay.
say it might be,
Okay.
please. But they never even showed you, like, remember in the book how Crookshanks was becoming chummy with the dog, Sirius Black. Remember they would see them, like Harry would see them wandering around
in the book
in the book.
Yeah.
Yes, but in the movie they never even alluded to that.
at all,
And in the book, Crookshank is the one who pressed on the knot.
yeah, and there's no that whole fight scene or exchange with the Whomping Willow where they get picked up
Oh, yeah.
and like
Hermione's holding on, she grabs
yeah,
Harry.
like it was just, and that's one of these things I think in Azkaban, the film, that throws even me off, where it's just a little extra, and they're trying too hard. Where like you added a sequence where Hermione, she was killing it, but like how was she able to swing around on these branches and then grab Potter and hold him while she's getting swung around, and then with one hand throws him in a
Down
little
the hole, yeah.
down the like, and then she somehow
Well,
falls.
dude, it's a little lighthearted part of this whole serious thing.
And
Yeah, it was amusing, it was cute. Oh, look at that, it's funny. I mean, we laughed when we saw it.
yeah, because that's like one thing about some of these earlier films that I think is a disservice to watching it in some regard, because it's the quirky stuff like that just seems kiddish, and it's like this doesn't make any fucking sense. And then like when the dude on the night bus trying to
Stan
what's his name?
Shunpike or something like
Yeah,
that.
Stormpike or some stupid shit. He can't pick up the luggage of Potter. And it's just like, it just is really unnatural looking and stupid. It's like, just put the luggage on the bus. Like, and it just, you don't remember that where he's like trying to pick it up and it's heavy and he's having to throw his whole body.
Well, he
into it.
weighed like 90 pounds.
I know, but Potter's 13.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that where it's just unnatural. There's some other unnatural shit.
It's not unnatural. I mean, they tried to make it funny, keep it light. I mean, it's the movie. You can tell the tone of the movies were starting to change.
It did a little bit, but not all the way. And like, that's why like when Order of the Phoenix comes into play, it's refreshing. And then I think Half-Blood Prince is the best film.
Well, yeah. I mean, at that point, things have taken a turn.
Yeah.
So this is like the transition part. It's still cute, but it's getting serious.
Yeah, it's like, Jesus. They're like silly comedy shit that makes some of the tone of these films off. And if they just kept it moving and didn't try to insert joke here or insert something silly, I think it would make the films even better. Like the Jamaican air freshener. Fuck, like.
Oh, the shrunken head.
Yeah, like adding those that they appear there and then in the bar, like those aren't in the books.
You didn't laugh?
It just is one of those things like adding that takes the seriousness out of the moment. It makes you go, okay, what are you watching here? I mean, it's okay, but like, why add that? It's completely left field, and yeah, I just think it fucks with the energy of shit.
Oh, I don't know. I disagree. I thought
You like how they added that?
Yeah. I mean, otherwise they're going to have to change the whole part of how they get into the Shrieking Shack.
They could have just done the way they did it, but I get with the Shrieking Shack incident and the one.
If they're not being thrown down the hole, then they're going to have to figure out, okay, now how they're going to bring apart you have to touch that knot on the root to immobilize.
Yeah, and Crookshanks didn't play a pivotal role in the film at all.
Yeah.
And she's like guides them down the tunnel to the Shrieking Shack. And then she has like a tussle. Like there's a tussle that occurs when the Potter and Hermione and Crookshanks get in the room. Mm-hmm. The exchange happens a little differently.
Right.
And then like Snape gets binded first, if I'm not mistaken. Or like, yeah, like Hermione and Ron shoot some spells too. There's like the way it pans out is different in the Shrieking Shack, and then also they do a lot of explaining from Lupin. Lupin explains the whole shit with like his friends and the Animagus shit, and like the Shrieking Shack's not haunted. It really was just always me making these noises back in the day, which I thought, which yet again just made the whole lore and all these components much more interesting. Where in the movie you're just kind of like,
well, the movie. I mean, for them to go through all that, you're going to add another hour onto the movie. It was already at what, 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
yeah.
Like for them to figure out, they couldn't get past the Whomping Willow until somebody hit that knot.
Yeah.
You know, and how do you bring that out? How do you get it into the movie where everyone understands what's going on? So that was their way of, avoiding that whole part of it.
Yeah, no, and they did a good job with it, I think, overall. I just think with like Lupin explaining certain things, I don't know why you couldn't have added that in there. Because it would have been another 2 minutes, and you would have got a lot of info.
I don't know.
You don't fuck with it.
No. I liked it the way it was.
How'd you feel about Hermione's punch? She have good form?
Oh, yeah.
It's not bad. They added the rock chucking that she does. That's not a thing.
The rock chucking that she
When she's in the pumpkin
well,
patch.
that's right. It wasn't in the book. Yes.
She just... So I don't know why they added that. Like, do you know why they added that?
In the book, how did they get out of the house? How did they leave?
Well, they made it so that that's how Hagrid saw that people were coming. And Hagrid just noticed in the book that the Fudge was coming down the path with McNair. And there's also another committee member that sentenced Buckbeak to death with him. Mm-hmm. But it was one of those things where it wasn't a crazy change, but it seemed like a weird change to have because it was just so different. Like they could have just left and like saw them coming down the way. And then they also have, the first time they go down there, they have the invisibility cloak. Mm-hmm. And in the movie, they just walk down.
Right.
Let me see. What do you think about the werewolf design? It's a little different than a lot of the ones we've seen.
Yeah.
I thought it was more human-like.
Yeah. Well, again, they tried to convey that it was still, a human turning into a werewolf. So they still gave it some human features.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was different than anything we'd seen before. So that was good.
I actually liked it. It was different, but...
Yeah, like when they focus in on his eye and his pupil dilates.
And the transformation in the movie looked good.
Yeah.
Especially for 04. Mm-hmm. Back to the Marauders map, I wanted to talk about how the Marauders map indicates how good of wizards the four of them were to create that map.
Right.
Because Snape couldn't figure out how it worked, and like it was just a really powerful piece of magic. And I just wondered how they had made it, and it just was a testament that it's really strong magic. And the Weasley brothers figured it out, which I thought was a testament of how clever they were with like joke magic shit. Because like Snape couldn't figure out, but the Weasley brothers did because that's like their thing.
Right.
So,
well, Snape thought it was dark magic. He thought it was all loaded with dark magic. So, and they stole it from Filch.
Yeah, like
the first year or so.
And I love how like talk shit to Snape.
Oh yeah, and he asked Harry to read what it says.
Yeah, in the book he reads it himself.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, that sequence doesn't happen in the book where they cross paths.
Right.
And in the nighttime, they cross paths when he's coming back from Honeydukes. Potter is.
Right.
And then that's where some of that exchange happens.
Yeah.
But it's just a different setting. What did you think of why Honeydukes would leave the hidden passages in their basement and not have it warded off to prevent travel to it, especially with Sirius on the loose? Like,
well, I don't think Honeydukes knew that there was a secret passageway there.
You don't think so?
No.
It just seemed like the way it looked in the movie, anyways, that it was.
And when they pushed
obvious.
it up, I mean, he looked around. No one was there.
It just looked like it was a trap door type thing. It didn't look like it was too guarded.
Well, it was a trap door. It was like a stone because you could hear it moving, like scraping across the floor.
Okay.
So I don't think they knew it was there.
Fair enough. Do you think when Professor McGonagall was trying to take, or when Potter was trying to go to Hogsmeade his first time, and McGonagall's like, you really need to have your slip form signed, do you think that was an extra precaution that she was playing? Like, because McGonagall, I think, would let him go. But because you don't think so?
No. Come on. McGonagall, she plays by the rules.
Well, I thought it was maybe her taking extra precaution of like, she knows Sirius Black. And
No, I think no. She just plays by the rules. She would not do it.
okay. All right.
So
I thought the first encounter with the Dementors in the film was not a letdown on screen, like with the effects, and I thought even the effects aged well. But and Buckbeak didn't look bad either. But the Dementors looked really cool. You see them on the Hogwarts Express, and it's like, oh shit, this film's getting kind of dark. I like it. Also like.
in the book, though, every time he encountered a Dementor, he got more and more of the tragedy.
Yeah.
First it was just the scream. Then you could hear, she was begging Voldemort not to kill her, not to kill Harry. It got more involved the more he dealt with the Dementors.
And I thought that was another thing they could have added that would have made the tone of the film even better. Because it would just be this terrifying voices / sounds that he's hearing.
Right.
Of the mother.
I mean, it came out when he finally figured out, he told him, Lupin, he goes, I heard my mom crying or screaming.
Yeah.
But
it just was a lot more. There's just a lot more going on in the book. Like
Right.
It seemed a lot more traumatic than the movies portrayed it to be. Yeah, so the Book of Monsters was first encountered when delivered by an owl at the Dursleys in Harry's room versus at the hotel.
What?
The Book of Monsters.
Right.
He doesn't get that book until he's at the hotel.
Right.
But in the book, it's at the Dursleys. He encounters the book.
How did he get it from there?
An owl delivered it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I like how the book shreds its pages when it bites in the movie. I thought that was cool. And I always like I think that book is dope. I should get one of those books. They're fucking dope. It's just a cool book design that they did. This film had the new Dumbledore from Richard Harris died. Rest in peace.
Right.
But Michael Gambon replaced him. And I've said this before. I think it's a really redeeming replacement for the series just because with Richard Harris, it just wouldn't have worked out.
No, you don't know. You just don't know.
It's just, I mean, I don't, but I feel strongly that Michael Gambon he should have been there from the rip, and he just adds a lot cooler of a tone to Dumbledore, and his demeanor and energy is just kind of swagged out. Like, I can't, and I'll bring this up again in later reviews, but him to be, if Richard Harris and Half-Blood Prince, like that, I don't think it would look right.
Well, I said you don't know. We'll never know.
So shout out to Michael Gambon. He's killing it. Last thing on the like silly tone situation that they do in the films. Like even with Malfoy and his character, like he's a weasel in the book, but he's so whiny in the movies. He's just kind of hyperbolic. Is that the right word? He's just so whiny. And it just like adds a strange tone to moments where you're like, okay, like this kid is.
It's just another reason to hate him. That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's Malfoy. So, let's give him these qualities that you're going to hate him no matter what.
Yeah. Like he's a whiny.
He's a weasel, like you said. He's the weasel.
But in the book he doesn't appear to be whiny. He's a little weasel, but like, they have to change. Go ahead.
No, in the book, remember after he was attacked, they were in the potions class and they made Ron cut up all Malfoy's ingredients. Remember, because he couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. So then Ron like shredded it, and then Snape told him, "Okay, now you take that stuff and give your stuff to Malfoy."
Yeah, no, Snape loves Malfoy because like, yeah, he hates Potter, so Malfoy's like he's not his. But yeah. Yeah, I just think they do him kind of dirty overall. I mean, Tom Felton does a great job, and in the first 5 films, like even the 5th one, he's linked up with what's her face,
Pansy Parkinson.
No, the evil bitch. Remember, he wants to be like
Bellatrix.
No, the one that takes over the school.
Oh, Umbridge.
Yeah, like remember
from Umbridge.
From Umbridge. Shout out to Alice. But yeah, he tried like he's still a weasel in that movie. He doesn't become he's not a weasel in Half-Blood Prince. Like the character transformation of Malfoy in that film is so really like
yeah, because he becomes a Death Eater, remember?
Yeah, and he's just a G. Like I love that movie, and he gets the most screen time of his character in that movie, and but yeah, the first 5 films, like even in Order of Phoenix, he's just like a whiny weasel, and it's just like
obnoxious. Things changed. Remember, his dad went to prison and all that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I have an absurd amount of notes to go over with the book shit, but I have some movie things to still go over. When I was watching the movie and reading the book again, I just found it really fascinating with the Bogart, and just how no one really knows what that looks like because it's always shape-shifting.
Right.
And I just thought that creature in general, that entity or whatever, no one really knows what it looks like, but they got this crazy weakness of just ridiculous spell.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, no one knows what it looks like because it takes on the shape of your darkest fear, your biggest fear.
Yeah.
So everybody, it's going to look different to everybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's really cool. If it didn't have such an easy defense to it, like ridiculous, that shit would be kind of like the biggest predator or biggest threat because it would just fuck shit up. But it's just like ridiculous and like shit's a wrap.
Well, it's not ridiculous. You have to picture what makes it look ridiculous. You can't just say ridiculous and that. You have to picture what it's going to make it look ridiculous.
Okay, Professor Lupin.
Well, I'm just telling you. You're like, oh, it's so
ridiculous.
Easy.
It worked. Shit. Yo, Hagrid's formal attire was super swag with his fur coat and polka dotted tie. I was like, that's what I'm going to be for Halloween this year. Is Hagrid.
Why wait?
Mm-hmm. You're saying I should do that tomorrow?
Yeah.
I have a fur coat.
Yeah. Make sure you wear it outside. Someone can throw blood on it.
I really like how Potter shoots Snape. He's like, fuck you, Snape, and like blasts him.
Yeah, Expelliarmus.
And like just gets, and they do an awesome job when he gets shot back. He gets like blown the fuck back.
Oh yeah,
like,
into the bed thing, the canopy collapses on him.
Yeah, like he got murked, and you're like, fuck, like Potter.
Yeah, remember, because in the book they all left. Remember, Snape was still out, and he was suspended, and they kept hitting his head on the ceiling.
Yeah, taking him out towards the tunnel. Yeah.
And in the movie, he comes out on his own.
Yes, he does.
I just said that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then he protects all the children from Lupin.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So
which was a test. Yeah, it's testament to his character, and I think in
teacher.
Yeah, but he just got fucking blasted from Potter.
Well, he came out. You see him, and he wailed on the kids. He started yelling at them, and then they heard the werewolf.
Yeah.
And they jumped in front.
Yeah, and in the book it explains like kind of how Potter gets out of it because Snape's the one that finds Potter and Hermione, who were actually both at the water hole or whatever where Sirius was at, and they both get overcome by the Dementors. But then he's explaining to Fudge how he must have been under a Confundus charm or whatever. They were outrageously outrageous. And like, what Potter gets played in that moment where he spares Pettigrew. It's another moment where Pettigrew rats his way out of it, and he's like, "Well, your father wouldn't want it." And Potter's like, "You're right." And then he escapes, and then resurrects Voldemort, and like tens of thousands of people die because of that. Like
Tens of thousands.
over the course of the series. Like think about the bridge sequence that they destroy in London.
You know, those are muggles. No one cares about that.
Okay, like, it's like there's had to been like 1,000 just there in that sequence. I love that.
There were 1,000 people.
That sequence is so far. I love, dude. Half-Blood Prince is so fucking good. When Pettigrew shifts back into the rat, he drops his clothes state, and I was like, just have him the clothes shapeshift back with him because when he gets exposed,
Dude, it's like that in all the movies, even the freaking Marvel Avenger ones.
Yeah, that's just
when the Hulk changes and he like, he still has clothes on.
But the same clothes if
but when he shifts back, he doesn't have clothes on. So
yeah, he does.
Who?
Yes, he does.
The Hulk?
Yeah, they're just
no,
too
he
big.
doesn't.
Yes,
really?
he does.
No, he doesn't.
You're wrong.
Really? Because when he fell out of the sky that time and landed,
they fell off because they were so big, and his falling, they fell off. Trust.
No.
No,
why did they just land right where he was then? Why did he put it back on? No, he didn't have clothes. So
You're wrong. You're
it's
wrong.
the same
Let
thing.
the record show that Anonymous is wrong.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
Everyone vote for me.
The trust Dumbledore puts in Hermione and Potter is shocking. Like multiple lives are in the hands of two 13-year-olds.
Well, again, Dumbledore knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, he a G.
Yeah.
I didn't care how they ended the movie with Potter flying with the fireball.
Yeah, that was a little when they froze his face like that.
Yeah, they freeze frame it and then it's credits. I'm like, that's not how it ends in the book. It would have been cooler to end in the Hogwarts Express, like they do a lot of movies. Like just
Well, they just want to change it up.
It was a bad change up.
No, it wasn't.
And like he gets the firebolt in the middle of the story, and he doesn't know who it's from.
Right.
And there's actually at the end, they're on the Hogwarts Express in the book, and Sirius writes him a letter that broomstick was from me.
Oh yeah, because that little owl brought it. They gave the little owl.
He gave it to Ron, and then he signed Potter's permission slip to go to Hogsmeade
for the next year. So he was all set to go. So McGonagall didn't have to do it. See?
Yeah.
But yeah. They changed it up, but it still followed along pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get it. Nerd question: what would you want your Patronus charm to be?
Oh my fucking word! A cigarette. I don't know. Well, since I'm having so many issues with frogs. A frog.
A frog?
Or I'd say a turtle, but turtle moves awfully slow.
Yeah, just be a frog.
Yeah, because... Yeah,
I don't think anyone is a frog. I would be a panda bear.
Oh, my fucking...
Don't fucking hate Mr. Frog.
Well, I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, there was a rabbit. There was an otter. There was a dog.
They explain more of them in the book. There's a couple they'll touch on that. Like, what's Neville's? I forget.
I don't know.
It's probably
Hermione had the otter. Luna had the bunny, the rabbit.
Yeah, Ron's the dog.
Yeah. What was Ginny's?
I don't know. In the book, it'll say.
I'll have to skip ahead and look at that.
No, you will not. So I'm going to go over, I've talked about some of the book differences. And if you have anything to add on the movie, by all means.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I thought I was just here to, to pretty up the set. But
is there anything in the movie where you're like, anything to add to the movie?
Could you be a little bit more fucking
Anything.
general?
I'm leaving it wide open for you to fucking say what you got to say.
I liked it. It is a good movie.
Wow.
It's one of those that never gets old. So,
I mean, all the Potters are dope. Fuck the haters.
no, that they kept it real. I like the fact. Yeah, they didn't have Hermione like running around in like this dress and something. I mean,
Why would she be doing that?
well, I mean, that's what they usually do. Like, oh, they're dressed up, and she was jeans and a sweatshirt, and she had fucking cuts on her face, and
Yeah, they were supposed to be wearing robes. In the book, I think they're always wearing their robes, but I like how they're not. Because some of the shit on screen doesn't translate.
oh, I remember, yes, and when they went to divination, they had to climb up the ladder to the trap door.
Yeah.
They didn't have that in the movie.
Them climbing up there?
Yeah, it was just the winding stairway right to the door.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Oh, there's many things.
If things jog your memory with some of the book comparisons, by all means.
Oh, I will. I'll cut you off.
This isn't all the differences, and we've talked about some of them from the book to the movie, but just some major ones and things I want to take note of. Again, shout out to Jim K, who did the illustrations in the illustrated version that I'm reading through. One of the things that was cool, just because it kind of shows up later in the story, where Potter in the first page of this book is reading History of Magic book written by Bathilda Bagshot. Like she becomes a more bigger character later on, but just a little nugget there. And I like how when reading the book, there's just so many more callbacks in the story. Where in the movies, it's difficult. I understand it's difficult to have little callbacks that, but in the book, there's just so many that makes it really nice to get engrossed in. The Weasley trip to Egypt, written by Daily Prophet, due to Arthur Weasley winning a Daily Prophet grand prize. And Egyptian wizards are mentioned briefly, which is cool to think about.
Yeah.
And then that was actually the reason why Sirius decided to break out of Azkaban, because
The picture.
he saw, and he's like, that's
Peter.
Peter. And he's like, fuck this, I need to break out of here. And then it explains in the book how he breaks out of Azkaban, and he turns into a dog.
Right.
And because Dementors can't detect
Animals
and shit, so he's able to escape, and then he swam to shore and then lived in the forest, essentially.
Yeah, I had to change it to a dog, though. I thought he needed a wand. Didn't he? No. Yeah, yes. That's how Pettingill turned back.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. In the movie.
You don't know it didn't, because remember, Potter steals the wand back from Pettigrew, and then he just transforms.
No, he doesn't. He takes the wand and he turns it on himself and turns himself back. Because somebody dropped the wand. Whether Lupin or somebody dropped their wand when they were changing. And he grabbed the wand, turned it on himself, then he did the little wave, and he shrunk back to being a rat.
Agree to disagree?
No. Check it. Check your facts.
That's fine.
No. Oh, see, yeah. Now it's fine when you're wrong.
The movie only shows the first night of Marge's Day, at the beginning of the book, where she gets blown up at dinner the first night. But in the book, she stays with the Dursleys for a week.
Right.
And then she doesn't fly through the sky like a balloon. She actually is contained to the ceiling in the dining room. So they add a little extra thing. And that's another thing that's like...
Well, you saw her float. Remember when he was running away? Yeah. They showed her in the back row.
Yeah, which is like, okay. But it's another one that was like kind of silly, but whatever. And then in doing so, that whole sequence, Harry ends up spending the last 3 weeks of summer holiday in his own room at the Leaky Cauldron.
Right.
And Potter gets to explore and hang out in Diagon Alley for the next 3 weeks. In the day before leaving Hogwarts, Harry gets to hang out with Hermione and Ron, and they visit the pet store.
And that's where she picks up Crookshanks.
Is that where she does it? Yeah. And then that same sequence, Harry overhears the Weasleys at the Leaky Cauldron before bed about not telling him about Sirius Black might be after him.
Right.
And then the conversation with Mr. Weasley about Sirius Black's happens at King's Cross, not the Leaky Cauldron.
Right.
One thing that, excuse me, see, like Trelawney, right? The divination teacher. She seemed a lot less off base in the book. Where she actually predicts Neville breaking something or being late to class and giving more insights that come to be true, like a student leaving the class around Easter, which is Hermione.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Neville's prediction she makes is interesting because the prophecy she predicts is actually about Neville. And so she predicts a lot of stuff regarding Neville. Mm-hmm. Like, because, the boy that lived or whatever actually, like, comes to fruition about the prophecy is technically about Neville.
You talking about this movie or talking about number 5?
Well, technically, it comes out later. But
let's stick with this one. Yeah.
Okay. But still, like, she reads Potter's palm and says he has the shortest life, which is technically true.
Yeah. But again, that's the stuff that's like mumbo jumbo type stuff. It's like, it's like when she went into that trance and made that prediction
About Pettigrew,
Yeah.
like escaping and before midnight. Yeah.
And that's why she made that prediction later on in one of the future movies about one can't live while the other survives or something like that. That's why Dumbledore hired her as a teacher to keep her away from everybody, to keep her safe.
Yeah, that's explained later, right?
I don't know if it was explained, but I know maybe in the book it was. On the movies, I don't think they explained it.
Yeah, it's a book thing that I thought
she comes across like as a fraud. I was like, oh.
Yeah, in the movies, she's like a nut job, which is cool, but it's not like over the top character.
Well, like when she made that prediction, it's like she was in a trance.
She's like possessed.
And then she came back. She said, "Oh, what are you here for?"
Yeah, no. I love her character. Like Trelawney, the woman that plays her is great.
Emma Thompson.
Oh, word.
To your mother.
Hey, the first class of magical beasts that Hagrid has, he actually has a dozen hippogriffs. Mm-hmm. Not just Buckbeak, which I get why they didn't, because it's CGI is expensive, and they did make Buckbeak look good.
Yeah,
like there was, I think, one part where it's kind of exposed its not realness, and because like the light had changed and like it looked better in dim lighting, because it's like a dark entity or whatever. But the class all gets a chance to interact with different hippogriffs. And Buckbeak actually does bow and let Malfoy pet it. It wasn't until Malfoy insulted it that it scratched him with his talons after he called it an ugly brute.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that sequence is a little different. In the book, I felt you could tell more that Hermione was up to something, and the other two noticed it. Like Hermione carrying all her books was in the movie, I think, but they just noticed her vanishing and
appearing. Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah, Ron would pick up on that.
Yeah,
it's like, when did you get here?
Yeah, and they just they did a little bit in the movie, but in the book, they like really are like, what the fuck, Hermione?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she had her schedule, and it was like, oh, the two classes are the same time. You can't be doing that.
Yeah, like he must have wrote those wrong, and she's like, no, I didn't. Like, Peeves the Poltergeist is in the book and has a lot of random encounters with different characters where he's not in any of the movies.
No.
Harry doesn't have a chance on the Bogart in the book during class.
Right.
Lupin prevents him from doing that because he thought he'd
picture Voldemort.
Yeah. When all the kids go to Hogsmeade, Harry runs into Lupin back at school, and Lupin is shown the aquatic creature,
The Grindylow.
The Grindylow. Or no, Potter is shown the aquatic creature, the Grindylow.
Yes, because that comes up later on too.
Yeah, and also explains why he didn't have him confront the Bogart, which is because he thought he'd see Voldemort materialize.
And in the book, like when they're all taking turns on the Bogart, and Lupin stops it, they just say, "Oh, it's a silver orb."
Well, because that was Lupin's.
That was Lupin, but it's a silver orb. It doesn't show. In the movie, they actually show you the moon.
Yeah.
So it's a little different there. It's like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Also in the same sequence, in the book, Snape shows up with the elixir or whatever to help suppress Lupin's transformation. regarding Quidditch, it seems as if there's no subs.
No.
And
Yeah, 7.
But in this book, I noticed there's a lot more Quidditch sequences. But they did say that Slytherin swapped out their team to have bigger players.
Right.
But throughout most of the series, it seems as if there's no subs.
Yeah, I don't think they swapped it, but they just picked 7 new players. I think that was it. Because you don't hear from them again, so you don't know were these the same 7 that they're all season now or just for that match.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's who you start the game with. That's what you have.
Yeah.
So, because like I said,
but you can swap them out if the game is not happening.
I would say so. Yeah, but the 7 that you start with is what you have.
Yeah, there's no
you
subs.
can't say yeah. So,
you also get an introduction to Cedric Diggory, through the Quidditch match Hufflepuff versus Gryffindor in the book. Because that was the thing in the movie with Cedric Diggory. You don't see him until Goblet.
right.
And I think just having a little, like I said, another callback moment where you're like, oh, I remember that guy. He's on that Quidditch team. And same with Cho Chang. She was brought up in this book, and she's not in the movie. She's a seeker for Ravenclaw. And
they told you how, Gryffindor lost, but if one of the other teams beat Slytherin, then they'd still be in the running. So in the book, they brought it, they won the Quidditch Cup. They don't go into that in the movie.
At all. They didn't have any Quidditch in the movie, which rightfully so because
they did.
In the third one, there's no Quidditch scene.
Really? Then how did he fall off his broom and have his broom smashed?
You're right. They did.
What? Wait.
You're right.
Did everyone hear that? Woo!
They don't have a Quidditch sequence till Half-Blood Prince, though.
Huh?
It's not in Goblet.
There's no Quidditch because, yes, they're doing the Triwizarding Tournament.
Whatever, bitch.
Wow. Wow. Shout out to Red Bull, the new summer edition, which is Karuba and Elderflower. Highly recommend it.
The inclement weather match where he falls off his broomstick, Hermione does a impervious spell which repels water so Harry can see. Harry also sees Sirius as a black dog in the stands during the match. Harry loses his first Quidditch match, which was against Cedric.
Oh, and he saw the Grim in the clouds in the movie.
Yeah, okay. That could be their version of incorporating.
Yeah. Could be, but it wasn't. I was right.
There was at least 100 Dementors below him when he was...
They do not. You stop that.
What?
You just said there was 100 Dementors, then they blow him.
Below him.
You said blow.
Chill.
That's disgusting.
How? Really? I was saying Peter Pettigrew was a pedo for sleeping with young boys, but you want to say Dementors are giving blowjobs.
No, you
let
said
the record show this motherfucker's off base.
You
Amen.
said it.
Amen.
I said that's
Amen.
disgusting.
So there was over 100 Dementors below him when he was overtaken in the book, and in the movie there's just several, maybe 10. Which I think it looks way cool.
They could have been. They could have been down below the clouds.
No. Fred explains it was 50 feet up when Harry fell off his broom. When Harry's being explained what happened in the infirmary, and in the movie he's hundreds of feet in the air, like he's in the clouds.
Yes, a Dumbledore stopped him.
Yeah. But yeah, like I was saying, there's a couple chapters that involve Quidditch. Like there was Gryffindor versus Ravenclaw, where Cho Chang is the Seeker. Gryffindor wins, even with Malfoy and his gang as a disguise as Dementors that try to distract Potter.
Yes. Oh, remember McGonagall? She was so bad.
She's so mad. But then Gryffindor parties. And in the night, Sirius Black hovers over Ron and cuts the curtains.
Oh, and they left out that part. Remember how they couldn't figure out how he was getting into the castle? Remember Neville lost the password sheet?
Yeah.
Yeah, they cut that whole part out.
Yeah, he obtained the passwords from Neville's page he had wrote and lost. And Crookshanks apparently became friends with the dog version of Sirius and brought him the page somehow.
Yeah.
But anyways, with the Quidditch thing finals against Slytherin, they won the cup. Good job, Gryffindor. But yeah, no, that was interesting with the Crookshank shit, where it was like friends with Sirius, and he like taught it how to do the knot on the tree in the Whomping Willow, and it took the pages of Neville's passwords, and that's how Sirius was getting in on the castle and shit.
And remember when the fat lady disappeared? She wouldn't go back to being the guardian of the tunnel, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, and they had Sir Gadigan.
That's what I was just
and
going to
his
say.
fat
Really?
gray pony.
Yeah. See, whatever.
Say it.
No, forget it now. Forget it. Forget it.
I didn't think you were gonna remember the name.
Yeah.
Where did you know the name? What's the name?
Yes, Sir Gadigan.
And
His pony.
his gray pony.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't know we were looking for fucking colors.
I don't see
Gray's
color.
not a color.
His fat gray pony. Yeah, because he was the only one that wanted the job.
Yeah.
She
Oh,
returned-
remember in the movie, in the book, they didn't talk about her breaking the glass with her voice.
that was a cool little movie part.
Oh, see, I thought that was funny. I thought that was not to your liking.
Really?
Yeah.
She returns after being restored later, and Sir Gadigan allowed entry to Sirius Black because he had the password from Neville's shit, but then she come back as long as she had protection from 2 trolls.
Yes.
Which is also not in the movie.
How could they be? Excuse me. Fucking Danny.
When Lupin is out and Snape is teaching the Defense Against the Arts class, he tells the class to turn to page 394. And he says that in the book, and I just thought it was cool that they had like
Same page.
same page, yeah.
Well, it's the same book, whether it's a book or whether it's the book or the movie. It's the same fucking page in their school book.
I know, but they just change it sometimes, and it just
But sir, we haven't started covering that yet.
yeah. Then he assigns the report over the werewolves with an emphasis
2
on
pages.
recognizing it, which they say it in the movie too, and it's a cool little extra thing where Snape was trying to expose Lupin.
This is the second time you've spoken out of turn.
He hates all the Gryffindors.
Yes.
Snape funny.
Must you, what is it, an insufferable know-it-all?
I mean, I would feel that way.
And Ron goes, he has a point there.
I mean, she always raises her hand for every fucking question.
Ooh.
What the fuck was that? The Potter's first time at Hogsmeade, he didn't use his cloak and has to be more stealthy with his friends. He goes back a second time with the cloak. But while they're at the 3 broomsticks, Fudge is accompanied by McGonagall, Flitwick, and Hagrid, and Madame Rosera, who's the bartender. And there's a different group with the book. It's just, there's no Hagrid or Flitwick in the conversation in the private whatever. The private suite. And Potter was under the invisibility cloak in the movie, but it was just out in the open where the trio could overhear it in the bar with Potter.
That's right. Remember,
Potter was
they,
under the
they
table.
pushed him down under the table, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like the first time he went there, where in the book.
And Hermione moved the tree.
Did she? Okay.
Yeah. Their view.
Yeah, and they do the explanation of the secret keeper and how it was thought to be Sirius Black who was, but it was really Peter that assumed the role after Sirius Black gave it to him. But they talk about that. There's no snowball throwing scene against Malfoy. There's a mud throwing scene where Potter's face is exposed from the cloak and runs back to Hogwarts, and then that's where Potter has that encounter with Snape, and he doesn't strut thing. But like I said, he goes back a second time, and yeah,
It's Hogsmeade.
and Sirius doesn't appear in divination in the crystal before Trelawney gets possessed in the book.
That's right. Yep.
In the book, the trio are much more aware of Hagrid and Buckbeak's situation with the committee.
Right. Remember, they're volunteering to help, and they would do all the research. So,
Yeah, they're like really involved with it. Potter, had a lot of shit going on, but Hermione held it down, and then Ron ended up being diligent.
because remember they weren't speaking in the book,
and
and
they were.
Hagrid told them, that's not cool,
Yeah,
So,
and they get notified by a letter from Hagrid on the results of the hearing rather than down by the lake.
right.
There was just a lot more going on with the trial. I already said Harry received the firebolt for Christmas. And then Hermione snitches, so to speak, with McGonagall and saying that Potter had got it, and she confiscates it, and they look it over for jinxes.
Right. But, yeah, they thought it was from Sirius Black,
Yeah,
who they didn't know at the time was his godfather.
yeah, and that he was,
Innocent, yeah.
chilling. But that was something too that I noticed with the book, where Hermione was on the outs a lot in this book with the other two,
Right.
and in the movie they're not.
No, they didn't get into all that part. Yeah. I mean, they alluded to some of it with Crookshanks and Scabbers. That's what started in the book, and they just kept going on in the book, but they didn't really go into. They jumped to the part where all of a sudden Scabbers was found.
Yeah, did Ron reunites with Scabbers when they visit Hagrid? Does that happen in the movie before the Buckbeak execution?
Yeah, I remember Hagrid finds him.
That happens in the movie too, because Scabbers goes missing.
Yeah,
Because I was like,
Remember there was blood all over his sheets in the book.
Yeah, but in the movie, how did that pan out?
He couldn't find him, but then Hagrid found Scabbers, and he goes, "Ron, you need to keep better track of your pet."
Okay, I think I recall that. The movie didn't include any of the exams. There was not a huge sequence, but the exams are really prevalent in the book of what they're concerned about and things what's going on.
Right. Sorry.
Did you just yawn?
Yes, I did.
It's fucking bullshit.
Well, it's past my bedtime.
Really?
It is.
You're fired. Lupin gives Potter a chocolate frog the first time he faints from the Bogart. That was in the book. I just thought it was he doesn't.
And the movie just gives him chocolate.
Yeah, I think it'd be cooler if he gave him a frog.
Oh my freaking word!
Potter wasn't able to drive away the Dementors away in his lessons with the Bogart. It was in the movie. Doesn't he do it the first time on his third try or something?
I think it was his third time. Yes,
with same
his third
day.
try. Yeah, the same day. Yeah,
and then in the book, it was weeks and weeks he did, and he didn't really technically do.
He got a wisp or something. Yeah, it was a wisp of silver smoke. But dude, the movie was already 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
So
I get it. Just sometimes when they condense stuff, I think, especially if you don't know the lore, it kind of it seems plot holy to some because they're like, oh, how did that work? But with these movies, because there's so much material, sometimes if you've read the book, especially recently, it's a lot of things make more sense,
right?
Especially in the latter end of the film.
Well, yeah, if you read the book, a lot of things are filled in. Okay, that's why that's happening.
They also, in the book, it tells you how Snape came to find out where everybody was in the Shrieking Shack. He went into Lupin's office and saw the Martyrs map. Because in the movie, you're like, that's what I'm saying, with plot holes. You're like, how did Snape know they were there?
Right.
And he just shows up, but it's because he went to Lupin's office, saw that he hadn't taken his potion, and saw that they were moving in the direction off campus, and then so that's when he dips out and meets them out there. Let me see. Oh, Sirius was in Flitwick's office, not on the roof of Hogwarts, where he was imprisoned.
Right.
Which was weird.
Yeah, in the movie, he was up in the tower.
Yeah, it was where they end up going to after they rescue him.
No, remember it was some outdoor tower because they could blow the gate off of it. So it wasn't his office.
Yeah, it was just out the window.
Yeah.
And then yet again, MVP Hermione was like, Alohomora.
No, it wasn't
To get out
more.
To get off the window? It was Bombardo in the movie.
No, that's what
but in the
about.
book,
yes,
it was
a little more, yes.
Just don't test me. Snape wasn't even part of the scene where Pettigrew escapes again. Like I said, he was unconscious. He ends up saving the kids, but because he's, yeah. When they rescue Buckbeak, that sequence is way different. Hermione lures Buckbeak with dead ferrets in the movie, and in the book, Harry's pulling Buckbeak along with like a rope and just keeps tugging on it, and then gets him to the tree line. And then I thought it was interesting when I was reading it. They actually Hermione and Potter go back to Hagrid's hut with Buckbeak when Lupin churns, and Hermione she didn't do the call. There's no engagement within the forest, but I just thought it was interesting they went back to Hagrid's hut. That's not what they do in the movie. And like I said, there's no interaction with Buckbeak and the werewolf, but
yeah, no, they kept him in the hut. But again, they made some points when he was in the forest. Maybe he was eating the bats as they were flying by.
Yeah, like I like how they did it in the movie better. And they had that
because
chase scene.
they could sit there and watch what was happening.
Yeah, and they did that a little bit in the book, but they like dipped out, and then Potter's like, "I need to go see what the fuck's going on," because he wants to see his dad. But I like the chase scene with the werewolf; it was a good addition too. Yeah, this is the only story of Harry Potter where Voldemort is not in the story or film.
Right. Then they mention his name. That's it.
Yeah, he's like straight up not in it. Fun fact: did you know J.K. Rowling changed her name for selling? Her publisher was like, "You should have a different name than just what your name is, so that it won't affect sales." And having like a woman name, they'd like change like J.K.
Oh, really? Just kidding.
I forget the whole shit, but yeah, it was something to do with being a female author. And
I could understand that.
wow, you heard it. Anonymous is sexist.
No, I don't say why they change it.
Her name's sick, J.K. Rowling. That was pretty much the shit that I wanted to address. Is there anything that you wanted to say regarding the film or book?
I mean, I've said pretty much the points that I wanted to bring up. So it was, this is when the series starts to turn. It starts getting darker.
Voldemort comes into the movie next film. It's dope. So IMDb gave it a 7.9 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 9 out of 10. I'm going to give this one a 9. I get that maybe this movie is a weaker 9 compared to some other 9s on some level, but it contributes to what I consider to be the best film franchise of all time. So I'm giving The Prisoner of Azkaban a 9. What are you hitting?
Ditto.
You hit a ditto? What did you... let's check with our... I gave... Let me see. I gave the Sorcerer's Stone an 8.8 and the Chamber of Secrets an 8.9, and I gave this one a 9. You've given the Sorcerer's Stone a 9 and Chamber of Secrets 9 and Azkaban a 9.
What can I say?
You're consistent. Which I fuck with those ratings.
It is. You look at the movie without going to the book, the movies, they're solid movies. You know, obviously the book always has more detail and gets to cover more. There's so many more subplots going on. But you look at the movies, they stand, I mean, they don't stand alone. You can't just watch one and say, oh, I know what's going on. But as far as a franchise, it all flows.
Yeah.
So.
No, I respect the rating. That shit's tight.
Gracias.
And thank you for being on the show.
Well, I was supposed to do laundry, but what the hell?
That's great. No, I appreciate it. And I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. I think we held it down.
I more than you.
Okay. At least you did something this time.
Yes.
Fuck.
Red Bull.
Chill.
Summer edition.
Dude, chill. We ain't getting paid for that, so you need to chill out on that.
I will be the new spokesperson.
Oh, last thing I want to say.
Oh, here we go.
The Tom Brady roast was fucking phenomenal.
Oh, when Harry Potter did it?
No. You didn't like the Tom Brady roast? Dude, that was the best roast I've ever seen.
It was. It was funny.
It was 3 hours, and the only bad set was Ben Affleck.
Yeah, he was on something. You could tell
he was nervous. He got dry mouth, and like his mouth was sticking to his gums.
Yeah,
and
he was fucking on something.
Everybody was all coked up, I'm pretty sure. But no, Tom Brady roast was phenomenal. Good job, everybody.
Peace out.
Anyways, yeah, so that's going to do it over here at the Movie Rant Break. Thank you, Anonymous, for being a guest on the show. Chill the fuck out. But I love y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We're going to continue on and try to get the Goblet of Fire done pretty soon here. We're back on track.
I have much more time to read now, so I will not
Anonymous retired. Congratulations.
I'm not retarded. You stop that.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're done.
No, you're done. Wind it up. I'm Top Girl Scout.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to the show. I love y'all. I'll check you next episode. Deuces.